Okay. One sec.
Thank you and good evening. I'm going to call to order the January 25th, 2022 meeting of the Norwalk Common Council. If you'll please rise and join me in pledging allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Burnett,
Present.
Mr. Goldstein, Mr. Goldstein, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Najilski-Eichner,
Present.
Ms. Smith,
Here.
Ms. Ayers,
Here.
Mr. Uvelman,
Present.
Ms. Revoluz,
Here.
Ms. Young,
Here.
Mr. Kites,
Here.
Ms. McMurr,
Present.
Ms. Alterman,
Here.
Mr. Keegan,
Here.
Mr. Livingston,
Here.
Ms. Shanahan,
Here.
Mr. Goldstein, Ms. Johnson.
Here.
We have 14. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 11th, 2022. Do I have a motion? Motion by Ms. Shanahan. Are there any corrections, deletions, or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted? All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is public participation. Mr. Manzi, do we have anybody that signed up or wishing to address the council?
No, we don't. We do not, Mayor.
Okay, are there any council members that have correspondence that they feel should be read into the record? Ms. Dixon, has the city clerk received any correspondence that you feel should be read into the record?
We have not, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is resignations or appointments. We have a resignation of Barbara McCabe from the Bike Walk Commission. She's no longer able to serve due to personal commitments, and I want to thank her very much for her service on this commission. She's been a very good participant, and she certainly will be missed. Next item, mayor's remarks. I just have a few. We're continuing to monitor the situation, but there are signs starting to show that we may very well be past or have peaked at the Omicron surge. Across the state, hospitalizations are going down. Test positivity rates are trending down. In Norwalk, our case rate and test positivity rate also continue to drop. We have a full update every Friday. If you've not read it, you can read that because it gives a full description of what the situation is at any given time. So testing is remaining available 7 days a week at Shady Beach. The state has assured that a new provider will be in place with a very limited disruption to testing. As you know, Semaphore has indicated they're not going to be doing testing anymore. We are past the frenzy of the Christmas holidays, and now there are limited waits for testing, so please consider getting tested, especially if you've been exposed or experiencing symptoms. COVID-19 vaccine clinics continue at Vets Park Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. through February. All vaccines and boosters are available. No appointment is necessary. There is no cost for the vaccine. Please, if we're going to beat this, it's going to beat it because people are going to get vaccinated. We have launched the Norwalk Community Recovery Fund, and $2 million is available for nonprofits to be eligible. They must serve Norwalk residents. This one-time competitive grant process will support local nonprofit organizations delivering services to Norwalk residents, particularly those heavily impacted by the pandemic. We hosted an informal Zoom call today, and more than 30 local organizations joined. Another Zoom is scheduled for Thursday night. More information is available at norwalkt.org/ARPA. We're tracking down snow for this weekend, although it's still too early to tell of the impact, but a few inches to significant accumulation is very possible. We'll have a better idea later tomorrow or early Thursday morning. If this is a major weather event, I may declare a snow emergency. We are watching the models and assure you we are prepared. Our crews, our DPW crews, and all of you know how effective and how professional they are. Our crews are on standby and ready to go. Remember, don't crowd the plow, clear snow from vehicles, and shovel out fire hydrants. And if you can, please park in a driveway and off the road so that the plows can get by. It makes it very challenging, especially on the narrower streets. We want to make sure that we allow them to do their job and do so safely. So residents can stay up to date on the forecast by visiting our snow center at norwalkt.org/snow. With that, I will turn it over to you, Mr. Livingston, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we go to the consent calendar, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to add a new item A2 under section 6 of the agenda. I can read, should I read the item first, or is that the, Mr. Mayor, would you like me to read that item itself and then vote, or do we vote on the suspension?
Yeah, I believe the best way, I think Nicole Ayers made the motion. Ms.
So
Ayers.
I made the motion, so.
Oh, okay. So she agreed.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's better to read and then let it be read into the record, and then you can take the vote when it's appropriate.
Okay, thank you. So the item is for new item A2 under section 6 of the agenda to read as follows. Authorize Alan Lowe, the city's building and facilities manager, in coordination with the city's law department, negotiate a purchase price for the parcel sites identified and set forth in the legal memorandum, file number WD-50400-0153, issued by Assistant Corporation Counsel Darren L. Callahan, dated December 29th, 2021. The memorandum, acquisition for school purposes per negotiation parameters set forth in said memorandum. And that is the item. I guess I'll now call for a vote. All in favor of suspending the rules to add this item, please indicate by raising your hand. All opposed? Abstentions? All right, so it passes unanimously. Thank you. And now I'll move to the consent calendar to be read by Ms. Ayers.
Number A, Corporation Counsel. 1, potential executive session to discuss legal memorandum file number WD/50400/0153 of Assistant Corporation Counsel Darren L. Collins, dated December 29, 2021, via land acquisition. 2, authorize Alan Lowe, the city's building and facilities manager, in coordination with the city's law department, to negotiate a purchase price for the parcel site identified and set forth in the legal memoranda, file number WD-50400-0153, issued by Assistant Corporation Counsel Darren L. Collins, dated December 29, 2021. The memoranda, acquisition for school purposes per negotiation parameters set forth in said memoranda. 7A, Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs Committee. 1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Railing, to enter an agreement with Greenwich Kennel Club, Longshore Southport Kennel Club, for the use of Taylor Farm Park and immediate surrounding grounds for the 88th Greenwich Kennel Club, Longshore Southport Kennel Club AKC Dog Show, in rally to be held on Saturday, July 11th, 2022, from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and Sunday, June 12th, 2022, from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Set up to begin Wednesday, June 8th, 2022 at 6 a.m. with a tear down no later than Monday, June 13th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Approximate attendance, 800 people. 2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Railing, to enter into an agreement, Marteliski, for the lease agreement for the caretaker's cottage at Cranberry Park for the period of July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2026. B, Ordinance Committee. 1, approval of the following revisions, amendments to the following city sections. Chapter 45, Article 2, Sale and Dispensing of Food and Drink, Section 21. Definitions, Food Handling Establishment, Section 45-21. C, Public Safety and General Government Committee. 1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Railing, to execute in all documents necessary to apply for and accept grants funds for the Department of Justice under the fiscal year 2021 Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant in the amount of $35,428. 2, authorize the police chief, Thomas L. Kowicki, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, to execute any and all agreements, documents, instruments, and amendments thereto as may be necessary to implement all programs through the fiscal year 2021 Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant pursuant to such funding. E, Finance and Claims Committee. 1, accept and approve the report of the Claims Committee dated January 13, 2022. 2, for informational purposes only, narrative of tax collection date, January 13, 2022. 3, for informational purpose only, monthly tax collectors report dated December 2022. 4, resolution requesting a special capital appropriation in the amount of $72 million to purchase property and construct a new neighborhood school in South Norwich to accommodate 682 pre-K through fifth grade students. The special capital appropriation shall be funded through a reallocation of $32,114,864 of bond proceeds that were previously issued for project number 0918-5010-5777-C0607, New Columbus School at Ely Avenue, in the amount of $17,314. Do it again. $17,314,319, and project number 0919-5010-5777-C08618, Norwich Global Studies, and project number 0920-5010-5777-60618, Norwich Global Studies, in the amount of $21,545. And B, the reallocation of $32,885,136 of authorized but unissued general obligations bonds or notes of the city from project number 0918-5010-5777-C0607, New Columbus School at Ely Ave. Project number 0919 C0618 Norwalk Global Studies, and project number 0920-5777-C0818 Norwalk Global Studies. The $32,885,136 of bonds or notes of the city shall be issued in accordance with the provisions and terms set forth in the original bond resolution that authorized the issuance of bonds or notes of the city for project number 0918-0110-5777-C0607, New Columbus School at Ely Ave, and project number 0919-5010-5777-C0618 Norwalk Global Studies, and project number 0920-5010-5777-C0618 Norwalk Global Studies. 5. Resolution, closeout of project number 0918-5010-5777-C0607, New Columbus School at Ely Ave, and deauthorize $24,250,000 of authorized but unissued bonds for project number 0918-5010-5777-C0607, New Columbus School at Ely Avenue. 6. Resolution, closeout of project number 0919-5010-5777-C0618 Norwalk Global Studies, and project number 0920-5010-5777-C018 Norwalk Global Studies, and deauthorize $12,592,530 of authorized but unissued bonds for project number 0919-5010-5777-C0618 Norwalk Global Studies, and project number 0920-5010-5777-C0618 Norwalk Global Studies.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. I think you'll probably be dreaming of project numbers tonight. I'll now call for a vote on the consent calendar as read. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes unanimously. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. And thank you, Ms. Ayers. That was a long, breathtaking reading. So, okay, so now we're on item 7A3, Ms. Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 7A3 under Recreation, Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee, approve the following resolution. Whereas pursuant to Urban Act Program 466C, the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development is authorized to extend financial assistance for economic development projects. And whereas it is desirable and in the public interest that the city of Norwalk make an application to the state for $5 million in order to undertake the Cranberry Park renovations and to execute an assistance agreement. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Common Council of the city of Norwalk. 1, that it is cognizant of the conditions and prerequisites for the state financial assistance imposed by the state of Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development Urban Act Program 4-66C. And 2, that the filing of an application for state financial assistance by the city of Norwalk in an amount not to exceed $5 million is hereby approved. 3, that Harry W. Rilling, Mayor, City of Norwalk, is directed to execute and file such application with the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development to provide such additional information, to execute such other documents as may be required, to execute an assistance agreement with the state of Connecticut for state financial assistance, if such an agreement is offered, to execute any amendments, decisions, and revisions thereto, and to act as the authorized representative of the city of Norwalk.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Are you going to speak on the issue?
We have Director Robert Starrs here to speak a little bit to that.
Okay.
To this
Mr.
item?
Starrs.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay, yeah. Well, the department's coming to the council for approval of the application and acceptance of the funding, authorizing the mayor to sign all paperwork related to this grant. We came before the Parks and Recreation Committee, this particular grant was initiated by a state senator and on behalf of the city of Norwalk, and requesting Department of Economic and Community Development funds to that would go toward Cranberry Park, and specifically and not exclusively to Gallagher Mansion. And these funds will be used to the scope of the project of building electrical and plumbing systems, upgrade outside drainage systems, designed and installed exterior, building waterproof, our trail system, maintaining our trail system, and also a storage building and caretaker property renovations. There are some other renovations that we're also looking into. This grant has to be spent in 3 years, and so we are in a hurry, and we expedited a process for RFQ, request for qualifications for developers to take on this project. Today we had actually working through our the purchasing office. We had our first bidders conference and tour today out at Cranberry Park, and it was pretty successful. We had 20 bidders out there. We think this is going to be a very successful project, and it covers a lot of work that has needed to be done for a long period of time, and it's going to make Gallagher Mansion a real exclusive place to have our events and weddings and so forth and so on. And not only that, but just the improvements throughout the park. So we come to you for approving this grant. It's an application, but also a ratification of actions that have been taken prior to this by the states, by the legislature and the Department of Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Stowers. Ms. Young?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go. I think Mr. Kites, Mayor, wanted to say something.
Mr. Kites?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is great. I think we should point out that every year the Recreation Parks Department came to the city looking for funding for improvements to the building because of the age of the building. And over the years, I mean, with such a large structure and like I said, the age, there's a lot of funding that was needed. And it was good to hear at the meeting now with this funding that this should check off everything off the list that we've had for Cranberry Park, and hopefully have no requests from the department for the building itself. So it's great to nip it all in the bud instead of just, taking little bites out of it over the years. So this is great news, and I want to thank our state legislation for getting us this funding.
Thank you. Mr. Livingston?
Thank you. I just want to echo Mr. Kites and Mr. Stowers' comment. I think this is really terrific in terms of helping us get through a whole bunch of deferred maintenance and repairs that are much needed for the mansion and the park. And I thank Senator Duff and the rest of the delegation for getting this done. But I had a question about the trails. Mr. Stowers, you mentioned there is money in that for trails. What does that entail?
Well, the money is not specifically, it's not specifically assigned to anything but Gallagher, the Gallagher Mansion and the Cranberry Park property. But we believe that there's going to be sufficient amount of money to clean up some of the trails. There's the trees, there's significant limbs and maintenance that has to be done to the trails that have not been done. And just observing that and walking through the trails. There's a lot of stems and sprouts from trees that need to be pruned just for safety purposes. So we're going to see how we can get a lot of that done as well. There's also some existing money in that fund that we're going to hopefully be able to maintain, so we can, so we can use that as part of the project. So that, in terms of safety, people using the trails, we have to do some maintenance on the trails that will help supplement our existing operations budget.
Great. That's terrific. Thank you.
Any further questions, comments, or discussion? Ms. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm thrilled that we are fortunate to have this funding, and I too would like to thank Senator Duff for his work to get this funding for Cranberry Park. Cranberry Park is one of the gems of our city. It's a beautiful park. My family has used it as long as we've lived here. We visit regularly with the dogs, and I'm particularly thrilled. I mean, we know the mansion has needed this work, and as Mr. Kites just said, it's year after year. It's like, it's the amount of money that it takes is so much that we haven't been able to do the work that was needed. But this is great because that is a beautiful mansion, and as was pointed out, the weddings and events that can take place there, it's terrific. But the trails, I was concerned about that. It's like, those trails really do need work. So I'm thrilled that we have the opportunity to do that work as well. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, I would just like to echo the comments that have been made. As you know, a while back, Senator Duff also acquired a $5 million grant for the Matthews Mansion. We are very, very fortunate in our city to have two beautiful mansions that are people that love to visit can use, as you said, for weddings, for events. And it's really incumbent upon us to keep those facilities as in good shape as possible. So this is going to go a long way to do that. So Ms. Young has moved the item. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Young.
So Mayor, I'm sorry. I that was a little trick. I just wanted to just say thank you to Mr. Stowers and to Ken for really staying on top of this, Ken Hughes, and I know that they will do a great job to make sure that this gets done in a timely way and as quickly, but in the best way possible for the city. So it's a very good thing and long overdue. So now, Mayor, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You move the item, so you have the floor. Any further discussion? If not, I will call the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Yeah, I didn't think there'd be anybody opposed to accepting $5 million for applying for
Not at all.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda
Thank
is
you.
land use, D1, Mr. Livingston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will move the item and speak to it. Item D1, adopt proposed Norwalk Public Schools facilities improvement plan for the development of a South Norwalk Elementary School. subject to the approval of capital budget funds through special appropriation process. So as members of the council know, the city and the Board of Education have for a number of years been looking to provide a new neighborhood school in South Norwalk and a new building for Columbus Magnet School. Earlier ideas involved the construction of a new Columbus School at Ely Park, which didn't work out for a number of reasons. But the city and the Board of Education have developed an alternative plan, which includes the following, which is the relocation of the Columbus Magnet School to the newly constructed lower school building on the Ponus School campus, and the construction of a new elementary school in South Norwalk. The new elementary school would have a capacity of 682 students and would cost approximately $72 million, including land acquisition. The $72 million would come from the closeout of the old projects, which have a combined free balance of about $76 million. That was what was approved on consent earlier. The plan was presented by the superintendent to the Land Use Committee, the Finance Committee, as well as the BET. But to me, the key takeaway from those presentations was the fact that most of the 800 kids in grades K through 5 in South Norwalk are bused out of South Norwalk to elementary schools throughout the city every day. And something to think about. 800 kids are being bused out. Not all of them, some go to Columbus, but most are being bused out of South Norwalk, out of their own neighborhoods to other schools, not all the same school, different schools. The proposed new South Norwalk school would help address this inequity and provide 650 seats. You may ask about the difference between the 650 and 800. The balance of the number of those kids would be either going to Columbus or another choice school. I also want to add that this is the latest in a number of city school construction projects. In just the last approximately 4 years, the city has approved a number of projects, including the new lower school at Ponus at $43 million, the Jefferson Renovate is new project at $33 million, a new Cranberry School estimated at $45 million, and the Narrowmake Kitchen project, which is about $3.5 million. So that adds up to a total of $124.5 million just for those 4 projects. If you add in this project, we're about $200 million in just these new school projects in the last 4 years. And that doesn't even include the proposed Norwalk High School. So I think it really shows a commitment on the city towards the school buildings. And I really support this plan. And I just now want to turn it over to Alan Lowe, who's available to answer any questions, as well as we have some representatives from the BOE, including Mike Zuba, who is the demographer who presented some of these numbers to the committees.
Does anybody have a question for Mr. Lowe, or Mr. Lowe, would you like to add anything to Mr. Livingston's statement?
No, thank you. I have nothing to add.
So does anybody have a question for Mr. Lowe? Okay, and Mr. Zuba, do you have anything to add?
Mayor, I don't have anything to add. I'm just here to answer any questions on the plan that we put forth. But thank you.
Okay, so are there any other comments, or Mr. Young, Mr. Burnett?
Thank you, Mayor. The one question I have that I think the members of Norwalk residents might want to know is, what is the proposed timeline for the new South Norwalk School? We know there's several phases that need to take place in terms of the location and the architectural design, but I'm sure that parents, students, residents are all wondering what is the proposed timeline for this. So that would be the question that I would pose for anyone to address. And again, I emphasize proposed because I know that there are several issues that have to be addressed. So not saying that this would be written in stone, but just giving the public an idea of the timeline, the project management that's going to take place to move us towards having a new school in the South Norwalk area.
I think Mr. Lowe would probably be best to answer that question. Mr. Lowe?
Sure. To start with, we're coming to the council now so that we are anticipated that the city, there will be further action by the Common Council in the next few months. We are looking to apply for state grant application by June 30th this year. Thereafter, we'll go out to RFP out for architects and for construction managers. The design phase starting from that point on is about a year and a half. From then on, construction is going to take another year and a half. So altogether, about 3 years from this summer, from June 30th this year.
Any further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I also want to congratulate all of you and my team for working so diligently with the Board of Education to bring this to this stage where we can see light at the end of the tunnel. As Mr. Livingston pointed out, there are young people who are bussed across the city, waking up early in the morning and coming home later in the evening. And we expect them to be able to experience the education to which they're entitled. They are probably more tired when they go and get up early and more tired when they get home at night. So it's a big challenge for them and their families. So this is exciting. And I think we're really looking forward and making a good commitment to the residents who have not been served very well. Ms. Young, I think you might have wanted to say something.
Yeah, I thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think to Greg's question and to Alan's response. So are we saying that we will be ready for the school year in 2025 to start in the fall? Alan?
You're on mute, Mr. Lowe. Mr. Lowe, you're on mute.
Yep, got it.
There you go.
So 3 year from this summer is probably 2025. So before 2025.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's 2022, 3 years from then, roughly. That's what
and our projection for numbers more than likely will be the same. We've projected that out, right?
The number
As far
of
as the
students.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are doing our cost estimate, and we haven't hired an architect yet. But when we look at this, the numbers, the cost estimate is really based on number of students. The state has a very strict guidelines into how many students, and the square footage is calculated based on number of students, proposed students. So when you calculate those, and then you do a multiply in terms of construction costs, and that's how we come up with $72 million. There's many factors go into it, but without going to the specific, I mean, we look at land costs, site development costs, building construction costs, soft costs, which include architectural fees and everything else.
At what phase do we then talk about I guess we could call it the educational model, the curriculum model?
It's actually, that has been developed as a typical elementary school for that number of kids, how many classrooms. The education spec is being I think we had talked about it yesterday was it yesterday? No, I think it's next week. We're going to the facility committee of I'm sorry. Sandra, are you available? I believe we finished the education spec already, and we submitted to Board of Ed Facility Committee for approval, and to the full Board of Ed approval. I believe it's in about next month, I guess, right? The second meeting of Board of Ed next month.
I will say, though, if I may interject, Mr. Lowe, to Ms. Young, is that Dr. Estrella has been adamant about engaging the community in involving the educational focus or a theme or whatever that entails for the school. What we have done is we've decided the number of sections, more the logistical part of the educational program. But I think what you're getting at is more like a focus or a theme or a pathway, and that has yet to be decided because the goal is to actually engage the community.
Mr. Burnett, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make a quick comment that Mr. Livingston shared the numbers, which is projected to be 72 million. But I just want to add that there is state reimbursement associated with this new construction, which is, and Mr. Lowe can correct me, but I believe it's 23%. So with that, we're anticipating that $72 million at the end of the day will be reduced by approximately 16 million through state reimbursement. So just wanted to share that piece of information with the public. So the final price tag will not be 72 million. It'll be less than that.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Are there any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I will ask for Ms. Dixon. Why don't you take a roll call vote, if you would?
Mr. Burnett,
Absolutely aye.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Najilski-Eichner,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
A wholehearted yes.
Ms. Ayers,
Yes, yes, yes.
Mr. Uvelman,
Aye.
Ms. Revoluz,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Kites,
Yes.
Miss McMurr,
Aye.
Mr. Alderman, Miss Alderman,
Yes.
Mr. Keegan,
Yes.
Mr. Livingston,
Yes.
Miss Shanahan.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon, and thank you to this council and this body. Ms. Young?
So I think, Mayor, we all know that I think this is a long overdue vote and effort in the city of Norwalk. And I just want to congratulate say thank you to all of the council members here. We all know that the children and the families in South Norwalk deserve this, and they deserved it a long time ago. Things happen that don't always work out the best, but I think we finally got to a point where we're trying to turn things around. And I just want to thank everybody here, and I want to thank Alan Lowe and the Land Use Committee and just everybody's effort, the councils before this, because this just didn't happen with this council. There was a lot of work and going back and forth and trying to figure this out. So kudos to Alan Lowe and his staff, and to you, Mayor, and just to everybody for making this happen and moving this forward. And it's not just for South Norwalk. It's an accomplishment for the city. And that's how we have to look at it, because when all families win, we all win. And I think the next point and to the Board of Education, and I couldn't dismiss that either. It takes a team and a village to get here to do what we just did. But there's a lot more work to do. And for me, my concern is the educational model. We can have a great building, but if we're not teaching our children, it's just a building. And so I'm looking forward to every stage and phase of this project and being just engaged as we are and involved. So just thank you to everybody.
Nicely stated. And we hit some bumps in the road, but we did not let that dissuade us. We kept pushing forward, looking at different alternatives, different iterations, and we finally have what we feel will be something that will serve the community for many, many years. And more importantly, like you said, the building is bricks and mortars. It's the children and the staff that really make the difference. So again, thank you to everybody. And with that,
Motion to adjourn.
yeah, you were fast. Ms. Young, did you want to say something before that, or you're trying to make the motion?
No, I was trying to beat her.
No.
Both of them, anybody.
Well, the motion to adjourn has been made and almost challenged, but all in favor? Opposed? After the 3-hour caucus last night, I can't say I'm too
This is
disappointed.
perfect.
Abstentions. Okay, well, thank you all and good night, and
Good night.
stay safe.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
You will.